forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, because he was a whistleblower, and this was an internal breach in security, cartel infiltration inside his unit, inside his chain of command. So much so that they organized a hit, a hit against a whistleblower right there on Fort Bliss to forcibly remove him from his barracks room, take him downstairs to, and this is where the platoon leader comes in. Very strong here, of course. Dallas Wayne Hart, Richard's platoon leader, is the um, prime suspect in this, taking Richard's life. And, you know, it is the platoon leader that has access to the arms room. Okay, that is a locked room. That's where they keep the arms. And they took him there and they took his life. They took his life. He fought, but they took his life. And because we have uh, information that the perpetrator needed to have emergency dental surgery done because he was bashed in the mouth. Um, yeah. They took Richard's life, and then they, because this was the cartel conglomerate, the El Paso cartel conglomerate, and El Paso, of course, Dallas Hart's family is CID. Tavita Nusa is also mortuary operations. Solomon Nusa, of course, his mother, uh, convicted criminal Leilani Hart, all involved with, you know, the support of CID. Marlon Soto Hernandez covered up I mean, he was just supporting the murder of a U.S. Army soldier, and he was the lead agent in the CID on Fort Bliss. And of course, the FBI was involved in this. And, you know, the body, Solomon Anusa's mortuary operations, they absolutely have contracts with um, funeral homes in the area. And in this case, Purchase Funeral Home is a big deal because it's connected to Plenitude Crematorium. And they're the leading funeral home cross border business there in the El Paso area. And, you know, so to get Richard's body off, of course, it was a rogue and unauthorized operation, but it was an operation all the same. And of course, um, Richard's G3, Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, whose operations was also involved in this, to remove his body from, well, steal it and traffic it across the border to Juarez for disposal to their associate, right? To their associate there for disposal. So this is, you know, all the pieces are together, and um, there is an El Paso cartel conglomerate that, and why do I say conglomerate? Because they applied business principles to the organized crime world, which is so dangerous. It's so dangerous. They and not too smart of them, not too smart of them. But that's what they did. So this is the El Paso cartel conglomerate. They made an alliance with the El Chapo Sinaloa cartel, with the CJNG cartel, with the Juarez cartel, with the La Linea cartel and others, right? And then of course, with all the trafficking and everything, they had to money launder and they had to also control the politics. They had to control the justice system. They had to control the judge's wheel, right? The judge's will in the court to appoint their cartel operatives that were in the courthouse to certain cases, like Sam Madrano to the Walmart mass shooting case. And and of course his wife was in charge of the wheel, you know, and then he's a cartel operative, along with Jaime Esparza, um, along with Bill Hicks, along with James Bonneau Montoya, along with, many others in this, of course, in the FBI, Connell Wenton, uh, you know, and the facilitator of the El Paso cartel conglomerate is uh, the operative, the El Paso cartel operative and double agent Alejandro de la Vega Foster, right? Alejandro de la Vega Foster. And of course, this is tied into Beto O'Rourke and Veronica Escobar and other politicians, right? For coverage, for protection. And that costs some money, right? And then they have to clean the money, they have to launder the money. And in our investigations for 6 years, I can tell you this, there are so many bankruptcies within these people, and there is real estate fraud. Okay. A lot of deals when it comes to real estate that we know they use gambling, right? They use gambling, they use all kinds of things to launder money, but they also use real estate. And this brings us to the topic for today. President Trump names Bill Pulte as the acting DNI, the Director for National Intelligence. Wow, was that intelligent? That was so intelligent of him and brilliant of him. And the first thing that we thought about and here is, oh my gosh, Bill Pulte, he knows the real estate business. He knows the flow of money. He knows what's going on um, with the money laundering through real estate. He absolutely does. And the intelligence community that have been, uh, I want to say, thoroughly infiltrated by cartel operatives. Connell Wenton is one of them. I can tell you right now, there is shady real estate transactions going on. Very shady real estate transactions. They do a lot of shady real estate transactions to launder the money that they illicitly received or um, engaged in. Absolutely. So, this was really a brilliant decision. And, it looks like the Senate, which is totally uh, not too swift, right? We know that the Senate is compromise, is very compromised. I've got so many things open here and I need to see comments because this is so interesting, and really just gets us so close to our goals. Swift, right? We know that the Senate, because what I'm about to tell you is, it just shows you that the letters that President Trump, and you can see right behind me, um, that's just one of them. The letters from President Trump, he is he's honest. He is serious about what he is doing. And he has been absolutely dismantling the cartel. The money flows going to the cartel, the fuel theft that the cartel was engaged in. Of course, the human trafficking. He closed down the border. He is closing down the tunnels. Um, and this was no easy uh, work that he has done in such a short period of time. I mean, he is just a master. He really is. He's just um, and to uncover everything with the organ harvesting, with the baby harvesting, with what Beto O'Rourke was involved in, of course, Plenitude Crematorium, the whole funeral fraud, cross border trafficking business, flesh peddling business. I mean, and I just am just so in awe of President Trump's team to dismantle this as quick as he has. It's just amazing. It really is amazing. And this huge Pulte being nominated, Bill Pulte, thank you, Bill Pulte, being nominated acting director of national intelligence is a big deal. And it is no wonder that in Mexico, the spokesman for the FGR, right, the prosecuting office there, who is a tough guy. I mean, he's a tough guy too, tough guy, and just very suave in how he's dealing with Maru Campos and announcing that Cesar Hargi, and this is kind of changing uh, direction, not really fully. This is all still so related that Cesar Hargi is, is talking to the prosecutor. And, this really means there is a huge step forward to seeing Maru Campos put behind bars, rightfully so, for signing the treasonous treaty with Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a intelligence sharing treasonous treaty and drone surveillance system that is connected to the 1.27 billion surveillance grid that includes the 20-story high-rise tower with a helicopter pad on the top of it, the 18th floor reserved for our intelligence community to have office space there in their shadow state, because none of this was approved by the US Congress, by US federal authorities, or the Mexican authorities. None of it was approved. And they operated the El Paso Cartel because this was all facilitated, the treasonous treaty that gave this kind of intelligence grid, right? This intelligence sharing network to the cartels where they could enter into our databases to see the files. And this was reciprocal. And then also all of the cameras and the drone camera action and all of that is part of this treasonous treaty. All the 18 wheelers going through the ports of entry to be checked or not to be checked, just to move them through very quickly. This is part of that treasonous treaty. And this is why this is now being connected to President Trump's appointment of Bill Pulte to be the director of national intelligence. Why? Because the Senate is absolutely freaking out. I don't know how they're so guilty because we know they're guilty because we've done the investigation. We know that the first person they should look at would be Connell Wetton. He has some shady deals going on. And Pulte could pick out um, those shady real estate deals, okay? The shady real estate deals. So that really confirmed that they are money laundering and that they are engaged in criminal activity. Um, and I would say El Paso Cartel conglomerate activity. They are, this is the El Paso Cartel because the treasonous treaty was facilitated by the El Paso cartel operative and double agent Alejandro de la Vega Foster. And when you look at the donations, the El Paso Community Foundation donations I just did, they absolutely donate into Washington, D.C., and to New York, of course, the financial capital of the world. Of course, it's not the city of London, but the city of London is very interesting because you can trade anywhere in the world in one day in a 20 because of Greenwich time. They are Greenwich time. So they have that advantage. And they are all part of this. Okay. This is all part of this whole criminal trafficking network of very um, traitors, of traitors to their countries. Traitors to their countries. And President Trump is revealing who they are because the Senate is freaking out. They guess what they are threatening. They are threatening to block the reauthorization of the spying, the right to spy. Remember, this is because the DNI came into being at 9/11. Okay, it's only 21 years old. It came into being for 9/11. It allowed this spying. And so they're saying, okay, if you're going to have him investigate our unsavory, uh, um, I would say real estate deals because I know that they have them. I've seen it with my own eyes that they have them. And, you're just like, how is this ever going to be um, held accountable, what they've done, you know, because they've messed with our real estate. They've messed with our real estate with their illegal money laundering through real estate. It has really damaged the real estate market and made it unaffordable. Um, how is that going to happen? Because deflation is so unpopular. I don't know how that ever will happen. Because inflation is a hidden tax. So you very seldom see deflation. That has to be an act of nature, right? A forced um, result of their bad decisions. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like to make predictions. I'm just thinking out loud here. But, a real estate uh, master, a real estate professional, a real estate um, oh, expert. I guess that's what I want to say. Oh, because, okay, so a real estate expert, I don't want to get ahead of myself, like Bill Pulte, as DNI, and they're threatening, they're so upset. Oh my God, because he knows where that money, he knows how to do it. He knows how to call them all out for their money laundering through real estate. And they're threatening to stop the FISA. Well, my prayer is that President Trump will, I'm not telling him what to do or I nothing because you just have to have all the pieces on the board, right? To make any, but I'm like, really good, good, checkmate. Block the FISA. Because if they block the FISA, right? If they block the FISA, the reauthorization, that absolutely puts maybe the sword right in the middle of that treasonous treaty. The treasonous treaty, I don't think can function without the FISA reauthorization. So without it, I think President Trump has a real chance right now to dismantle that whole treasonous treaty. The the El Paso cartel, because the El Paso cartel, uh, they've been doing this for decades. They've been building this up for decades. It's not easily dismantled. And here comes Trump, President Trump, President Trump, and is dismantling it so fast, so quickly. I just think it's they haven't found his body. No. Well, they found his body. They disposed of his body. They used his body because and this is changing subject because of Angelina. Thank you, Macias. Thank you for coming on. Your last name though puts up some red flags for me. Sorry, it puts some red flags up. But no, we need our son's body, and that is why this is going on for so long, because they stole our son's body off of Fort Bliss and trafficked it to Juarez, Mexico, across international lines to dispose of a U.S. Army soldier. This is an act of war. This total act of war, not only with our family for what they did to our son, but to our country too. This is like, the worst crime. And it is so connected to all of this. Richard is a total hero, a total hero. And so that makes it even more important because they did it to a whistleblower, okay? To a whistleblower, a U.S. Army soldier, and then they did it internationally. They violated Mexican sovereignty, they violated American sovereignty, they violated the rights of all the people on both sides of the border because they tampered with Richard's files on both sides of the border, lying to both sides of the border. We were in Mexican news just like we were in American news when we were there, and they lied and lied and lied. And it's just the crime is so big. So, yeah, uh, yeah, we can't give up. We can't give up. And this is so important because this FISA reauthorization, it's not for the safety of our countries. This is for weaponization against those that don't want to go along with the cartel conglomeration. We don't want it. We don't want it. You know, all of they are sick. They are so sick because they traffic children. They traffic organs, that they target pregnant women, and they they are absolutely, they're pouring down body fluids and formaldehyde in our water. These are sick, sick people. We don't want them. And those that reject it, they weaponize the FISA, the intelligence community. We've been living through for 6 years, so we absolutely uh, can confirm that that's what they do. They use it against whistleblowers. They use it against the good people of the United States. They use it against the good people of Mexico. They use their spying on the. They use it against the national security of our countries. So turn it off, and they'll turn off. I think it will just obliterate um, the treasonous treaty, the drone surveillance, the database sharing, all of that. It would be, it's just a master stroke. And that's why I'm a little bit just, uh, I want to say giddy, but I'm not that giddy. I'm just so impressed by everything that's happening to get us closer to get our son's remains. Um, because our son's remains are being held by these people. Okay. They're holding Richard hostage, his body hostage. Because if they give us back his body, it reveals everything. He is the key to everything. His body is the key to everything. And you remember with Vanessa Guillen, which was not a border incident, but I believe that I know that it is totally connected to Richard's case. When they found her remains, which they did everything they could to not find her remains, it was an act of God. When you know the whole story, you're just in awe. You cannot not have faith living through this because God's hand has been on all of this. It's just, um, if you're not a believer before, once you read through these cases, you are a believer in God and you glorify Him because when they found Vanessa Guillen's body, um, and uh, that was they just panicked. They just panicked. And so with Richard, um, they got him across the border. They took his body across the border. So, but his body is a key to this, and the organ harvesting, the paper trail of cashing in on VA benefits, um, the unidentified minor. He has 3 autopsies, I mean, it just is clear that all of the evidence, when we trace the phone calls, remember we learned how to trace burner phones? It went to Biden's White House, okay? It went to NATO. It went to um, FBI Korea. It went to yeah, it went to um, uh, Stanford University in Santa Clara, California. These are the intelligence agencies. And when you think of the DNI and their excuses, but we need someone that knows a lot about national intelligence and this and that. Well, we've had all these experts, and they are total failures, and they're not intelligent because 51 of them signed off on the Russia hoax, which they absolutely knew was false, which is absolutely proven false, and they signed off on it. So these are losers. They're absolute losers. And so what President Trump did with William Pulte is a brilliant thing. and it made the Senate so crazy that they are now threatening to block the reauthorization of the FISA so that they don't even, maybe they don't even see the consequences of that, because that would shut down the treasonous treaty, which is the big $1.27 billion surveillance grid, including drones and access to our databases on the Mexican side of the border. That includes a 20-story surveillance tower that's a high rise. Go look at it, Torre Centella, that points right at Fort Bliss. So I think that is, oh gosh, I'm going to have to delete somebody. There you go. Yeah. So the Torre Centelli, the treasonous treaty, just look it up. It is all over now. And for that to end would be such a blessing. Okay, everyone, and would really, really help, because they use it to block. See, if you have access to databases and files, then you can go in there and you can tamper with them. You can add things, subtract things, uh, and that's what they did to Richard's file. We have absolute proof. Where was Richard's whistleblower? That we have proof because the whistleblower, Judge Roger Rodriguez, sent his whistleblower report that identified the prime suspects in Richard's case and that they were tampering with Richard's case. He sent it to multiple individuals, and that's why we know that they tampered with Richard's file. Because most people only will submit it to the FBI, and then they can go in to that file and they can tamper with it. So they can erase, they can redact, and they can weaponize it against whistleblowers and others, their political enemies and that. And so they were just using that surveillance as a weapon, right? As a weapon, and also protecting by manipulating files, and manipulating which judges get on a file, and which, they know who are the informants, who are the agents, they know. And so that gives them um, a huge protection racket for the cartel. That's what that does. So to shut this down, it would be brilliant, would be really brilliant. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming on tonight. It's been, I want to make sure, Hargy, I make sure that, yes, oh yeah, that was just so good. And is Carlos Manuel Salas going to be next? Yeah, so here I am. I'm looking through my notes, or the posts on Facebook. Is Carlos Manuel Salas going to be next? I mean, Cesar Hargi, it probably made a deal. Probably made a deal because we know he's talking. And this guy is just, yeah, he's, he's this. He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. So, and then of course, um, the whole Purchase Funeral Home connected to all of this. I hope that you get a chance to read through this and study it, because this was an assault on everybody, on everybody, on everybody. Can you imagine? We can't even trust our funeral homes and what they were doing, and then the filth of it all. It's And then going into the drainage and into our water system, when we're paying for oversight, and in this case, it was Maru's mother. She was co-conspires which is, and I don't say it right, I know, but um, the health um, the health director, was her job to give the permits, to give the inspections and everything, and she let Plenitude Crematorium operate in the most disgusting, without permits, no potable water, no air condition, no inspections, and just piling up bodies and recycling them, and then of course polluting the waterways and everything. It's just uh, you know so yeah, those are the big stories, and I hope the only thing that we ask from you is to share, to become, you know, a follower, because we don't monetize or anything, but to share all of the information, and that is happening. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that is. And if you speak Spanish, God bless you. Thank you so much, because I see that some of our material, our posts are getting translated into Spanish. Thank you so much. And we just love you for that, because we know that we could not do this and move forward without your help. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back. Thank you, Lindsay, for all your comments. That's really wonderful, and thank you, Angelina. So God bless, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.